Hello, travelers. Welcome to Reach the World. For over 20 years, Reach the World has used virtual exchange to inspire youth to become curious, confident global citizens. My name is Tim, and as part of Reach the World's efforts to support educators and families during the COVID-19 pandemic, we're sharing free live stream discussions with some of our active virtual exchange travelers around the world. You can find an updated calendar of live stream events and much more at home.reachtheworld.org. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Tammy Tang. Tammy is a Fulbright alumna who is living in Taiwan, and she's calling today from Taiwan to tell us about her everyday life in Taiwan. So her virtual exchange through Reach the World is open to any student who wants to follow her experiences in Taiwan. And you can check out the link to her journey homepage on the Reach the World site in the chat bar just to the right of your screen. This will be the first of two opportunities to connect live with Tammy and ask her questions. And during today's live stream, please feel free to use the chat bar to let us know you're here and share any questions you may have for Tammy. We'll get to as many as we can in the next 25 or 30 minutes. All right, without any further delays, time to get going. Let's go to Taiwan. Welcome, Tammy.
Hi everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you so much, Tim, for the introduction. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about my experience. And so let me share my screen. Okay. So I'm actually still, like Tim has said, I'm in Taiwan right now. Let's see. This is working. Okay, so I'm placed in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, and Taiwan is basically a small island of 24 million people. Basically, that's a third of the size of California, where I'm originally from. It's located to the east of China, and on top you have both Korea and Japan. And so when people usually think of Taiwan, they think of Taipei, which is a big city up north. I'm actually located in the southern part of Taiwan, which is Kaohsiung. Kaohsiung is the biggest port city of Taiwan, and it's actually the third largest city in Taiwan. This map here, you can see that Taiwan is very mountainous.
Hey, Tammy, can I pause you for a second? Sorry to interrupt, but I don't see your screen share.
Oh, okay.
It looks like maybe we need to try again on that.
Let me see. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Hold on a sec. So share screen. Okay.
There we go.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Let me pull this up. Okay. So, as I was saying before, this is a map of Taiwan. As you can see, it's very mountainous. And so it's basically separated into the east side and west side. And so the east is where most of the mountains are. And the west, you can basically travel up and down. It's a lot of the major cities. That's where it's located. And so over here, I have a map of Kaohsiung. It's showing the city. Contrary to that, I actually live right over here. This is taken right out of my backyard. It's a more rural part of Kaohsiung. So I'm more located in the village part of it, and we're famous for pineapple farming. And then over here, this is one of the major attractions of where I live. It's called Dashu, which means big tree. And this is a famous Buddhist monastery in Taiwan, and a lot of people come here for that. And so even though living in the more rural part of Taiwan, it's still connected to a big city, and I get along fine with scootering, as shown over here. Okay, and so I spend a majority of my time beginning in last August teaching. For my teaching experience, I had the privilege of teaching at 2 elementary schools. The first one it's called Shui Liao. I taught 5th and 6th graders, and at Xiaoping, one of my smaller schools, where I taught grades 1st to 6th. I was teaching with a co-teacher, and so who is the main teacher of the classroom. And so I think the main part for me was I was more of like a enhancement, and I got to do a lot of culture exchange, and that was a big highlight for me. I was able to introduce celebrate holidays with many of the kids, and so here we're making chocolate chip cookies for Christmas, and this was a lot of like the kids and the staff like first time making cookies, and so that was really cool. And we had like a peanut butter making session as well, and so that was really fun. And then additionally, having 2 teachers in the classroom, we're able to do much more activities. And so, for example, we had like a tasting lesson on drinks to guests and make it more fun. And as much as I was learning, teaching my traditions, what it means to be American, celebrating holidays to the students, the staff also showed me a lot about what it means to be in Taiwan and their holiday traditions. And so one of my favorite ones is the picture over here. And so one of the traditions of welcoming first graders to the school is to have them cross under this arch, and they're hanging like green onions and apples. And so the Chinese character for green onion is chong, and chongming, it means smart. And so that's representative of that. And then the Chinese character for apple is ping, and it's called pingguo. And so we have this phrase called ping ping an an. So it means like, safety. And so children, they walk past this, it's like blessing them with like smartness and safeness. And so that's one of the traditions. A big part of also teaching is to get to know my students. And so one way of doing that was to participate in one of their student clubs. Students in Taiwan are pretty busy. So for example, I joined a ukulele club. I never played ukulele before, but we learned together. And so this was something outside of class. I also learned Chinese yo-yo for the first time. The kids were super excited to have me, and it was a very fun experience. And of course, majority of the time was spent teaching, but outside of teaching, I also took this opportunity to further my Chinese. A big reason why I decided to choose Taiwan was to continue my Chinese lessons and learn Mandarin, which is a big part of connecting with my own culture as Chinese American, and also learn about my heritage. And so I continued taking Chinese classes with a private teacher, and later on I also did a language partner exchange where I helped her with English, and she also in exchange taught me Chinese. So that's a big highlight of my time here. I also continue my hobbies such as running. I ended up joining a race with my friends here. We flew over to a nearby island in Taiwan and did a 10K there. A big highlight of Taiwan is also their night markets. We're blessed here in Kaohsiung to have over 4 night markets. And so a night market is basically a place where many vendors sell different assortment of foods. For example, desserts over here, ice cream, boba drinks, just any kind of delicious foods you can imagine. And so we'll hop in there, grab a snack, and go. And as well as playing games. A lot of us like playing games here. And so I don't know if you heard of Mahjong before, but it's a big recreational activity here for both young and old people. And so that was really fun to do as well. And on the weekends, I continue exploring Taiwan. Taiwan has very beautiful nature landscape. And so, as I mentioned before, it's very mountainous on the east side. And so over here, I visited a lot of mountains, and I would go hiking a lot. If I got bored of mountains, I took a rest day at beaches as well. Coming from San Francisco, I grew up with a beach too, but it's very cold. So I never really spent my time here. But now Taiwan is different. It's always hot and humid. And I would imagine this is how people described it, as kind of like Hawaii. So that's kind of what I would imagine Hawaii to be like too. And over here is a picture of my friends and I attending the Pride Parade up in Taipei, the big city. Shout out to Taiwan for being the first Asian country to legalize same-sex marriage. So that was definitely a highlight to attend the parade. And over here, pictures, I attended a God moving ceremony. Another aspect of Taiwan is that it's very religious. I believe over 80% of people are religious here. And so Buddhism is a big religion that people, it's a part of a lifestyle for people. And so we had this God moving ceremony where the whole village just came out and blessed the new home for the god by having a lot of performances. The kids from the community came out to perform, and firecrackers went off, and it was just a very exciting thing to see. So I did travel a lot, and I will like to say that one of my favorite experiences so far is having a road trip to the mountains of Taiwan. And so 10/10 is a national holiday in Taiwan, which means that it was a 4-day weekend for my friends and I. And so we rented a car, and my friend and I drove down the east side of Taiwan, including the counties of Hualien and Taidong. And this is just one of the pictures of Taroko Gorge. It's basically a very big national park. And over here, we went through a cave, and it was just dripping with so much rain that we had to wear rain jackets. Also, Taiwan is very agricultural, and so Hualien is very famous for, the climate is very suitable, so it's very famous for rice planting. And so over here, it's a picture of me bicycling down like rice paddies on each side. And so my teaching experience, unfortunately, prematurely ended in April due to the whole situation right now with COVID-19 and whatnot. And so I'm actually still in Taiwan right now, as mentioned before, because I decided to stay. I feel like it's a lot safer. And so I slowly from then have transitioned into my lifestyle now. So one of my friends moved in with me. And so the three of us are living in Dashu now, and we decided to join a gym and the gym membership and go to gym every day now. And then I actually also started private ukulele classes as of today. And of course, we're still exploring Taiwan. There's still so much to see. And so this is a glimpse of me right now. Yeah, so thank you for listening. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please let me know.
Oh, fantastic, Tammy. What a great introduction to your life and experiences in Taiwan. I'm curious about how you got interested in living and teaching in another country like you were doing up until recently. I mean, the teaching aspect. What was it that got you interested in leaving San Francisco and leaving the country for that sort of experience?
So this is actually my third time in Taiwan. Previously, I spent a summer in 2017 learning Chinese here. And so I would say that a big reason for my study abroad adventures is it revolves around my language learning. And I didn't think that I would get this into language learning. I began my Chinese major like the third year of my, I finally declared it in the third year of my college years. And so it was just something that really resonated with me. The more I learned about Chinese, the more I was able to connect with my culture, understand it more, the history of it. I grew up speaking Cantonese, which is another dialect of Chinese. And so learning Mandarin really enhanced that. And of course, learning it in another country really added to the traveling and learning about the culture as well. And so that's one of the reasons why I keep coming back to Asia and keep coming back, especially to Taiwan, just because that's been such a positive experience so far.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the journey like from San Francisco to Taiwan? How do you get there?
Fortunately, San Francisco is also a very big city. And so I was able to take a direct flight to Taiwan. But in Taiwan, basically Taipei is usually the point of entrance for most international flights. And so I landed in Taipei, which is in the north, and then we all met up, all 14 teachers here, and then we had to take a bus down. So the bus is like the slowest mode of transportation here. But even then, like Taiwan is such a small like island, and so we're able to go from one end to the other within, I think that bus ride was around 5 to 6 hours. A little bit shaky like on the first day after so much traveling, but eventually we made our way down to Kaohsiung. Mm-hmm.
Great. I have another question about transportation, but before I ask it, I want to just speak directly to our great group of people who are watching this live stream. If you have a question for Tammy, please drop it in the chat bar. I'd love to pass it along to her. So don't be shy, put it in the chat bar and we'll pass it along. You brought up the idea of transportation, airplanes, buses. At one point you talked about riding what looked like maybe a motorcycle. How else do you get around when you're in Taiwan?
So aside from buses and motorcycling, there's also a very elaborate train system here. And so there's a train system and there's a high-speed rail. So trains are more common because it's right in between the prices of like a bus and a high-speed rail. And so trains, there are different types of trains as well. But for example, like I said before, getting down from the north to the south takes around 5 hours of busing. But for trains, that's around, I would say maybe around the same time, but you never know with buses because sometimes there's traffic, so maybe it can be 5.5. But trains are very, I love taking the trains because there is just so, you can just see outside to see scenery change and whatnot, and then people serve food there, and you don't have to get in and out for your stops. And so there's that, plus the trains, and then we also have a high-speed rail, which is the fastest mode of transportation here. I think it goes up to 200 something miles per hour. So it gets you to Taipei in half the amount of time. So I would say 2 hours. And so that's also a very convenient option as well.
Okay, wow, lots of great options for seeing the whole island. What have been some of your favorite foods that you've had while you were there?
Right. There's just so many such tasty, yummy foods here. But I would say anything fruit related, aside from like rice farming cultivation, pineapples, which is where I live, is also where I live is famous for pineapple cultivation as well. And so the fruits in Taiwan are so sweet and so delicious. I never really ate pineapples back in the States just because it was very like watered down. I didn't really taste anything, but in Taiwan it's very sweet. So it's become one of my favorite fruits. Right now it's lychee season. Lychee season, and also mangoes here are really yummy. And so,
sorry to interrupt. Can you describe what a lychee is for someone who might not know what a lychee is?
A lychee is like think of like a cherry, but with like a hard shell on the outside. So it's kind of like cherry, but a little bit bigger, has a stem, and then the shell outside looks red too. And then you peel it, and inside it's like a white flesh kind of fruit. And it has seeds in the inside as well. And so that flavor is very unique. And what I love about fruits is that they make, for example, like mango milk, where they mix it with any sort of tea or milk, which is also what Taiwan is famous for. It's bubble milk tea. And so they have like fruit drinks, and then, or they make it into shaved ice, which is also very good for cooling down, especially in this heat.
Yeah, wow, that sounds delicious. I am guessing that if the region you're living in is growing pineapples, it must be pretty hot on the average day. Is that right? What has the climate been like since you've arrived?
Yeah, it feels like the heat never left Taiwan, even in the winter times, but I would say it's around 80, 90s. It definitely gets hotter. It doesn't feel like that sounds pretty moderate, but it's just very humid and sticky all the time. And so, especially in the southern part of Taiwan, we get the most heat here. It's just 10 times hotter than the northern part of Taipei, for example. And so, already right now, it's May, but yeah, I already need to turn on my air conditioner, and it's just very sticky all the time. And so it's been pretty hot. In the winter time, I would say that it cooled down a little bit. We do get some rain. I think right now it's actually the rain. It's called plum rain season, and so we're gonna get lots of rain, and typhoons are coming too. So think of that, and then add in with the humidity. It's a lot of stickiness.
Yeah, can you describe sort of the idea of typhoons and the relationship of typhoons to Taiwan? Is that something that people expect?
Yeah, I think most of Asia here we get hit with typhoons a lot, and so people are pretty much prepared for it. To them, it's like just another day. Sometimes, like you just don't really go out when it gets really bad. It gets pretty. A typhoon is basically like um, a lot of wind coming at you, a lot of wind and rain together, and so um, it's kind of like snow days for the East Coast, I guess. I'm from the West Coast, so I don't think there's anything equivalent. Maybe hurricanes in some sort of other parts of the states. But yeah, once there's certain degrees of typhoons at level 1 to 5, and so if it hits pretty bad, then everyone needs to stay home and take a day off. And so it's like common sense here for a lot of people. Shops will close and whatnot. I think we're actually expecting a typhoon here this weekend. And so we'll see if it hits or not, but it's become kind of like second nature.
Yeah, I would just encourage all of our viewers again, including viewers of the recording of this call, to go check out Tammy's virtual exchange that you can find using the link in the chat bar on the right side. She's been doing a fantastic job of capturing her experiences in Taiwan for student audience. And if you check out those articles, you'll have a chance in the future to ask her some more questions that you may have about her experiences there. I have lots of questions for you, Tammy. Our live stream audience is a little shy today, so let me ask you a question about how it looks like you very successfully become integrated into your local community there. I think it must have something to do with being a teacher. Everybody loves their teachers. What has been the best part about getting to know your community in this unique way that you have?
I would say a highlight of living in a place like Kaohsiung is that it's such a big city. I come from San Francisco, so I'm like a city girl my whole life, and so I wanted to come to Kaohsiung, but and so I was placed more in a rural village area, and so that was pretty different from what I'm used to. But I really appreciate that because I really get to know the community here at Dashu, where I teach, and so I would, for example, run into my students all the time outside of class. Sometimes I'm buying food, and then at the supermarket, I guess there's only one like big supermarket here, and so yeah, after hours, like I'll see a lot of parents and like the kids too, and even two students that I don't teach. They're part of the school as well, and so they'll know me, and so really getting to a sense of the community here. I never really had the chance growing up, and so that has been a very important part of it. And I think this it's such an outdoor community here in Taiwan. People sell food outside. They sell food like right outside their, it seems like their homes too. And so that type of community was also always out. People are always out. They're always asking about you. I think it's very new to me too. And so that provided me like a very fast way to talk to people more, get to know them, versus in the city where I'm just like always hurrying on to the next thing or never really stopping. And so this year has been such a great balance for me to really take it all in and get to know the people here.
Yeah, what advice would you have for young people in the United States who might be interested in another part of the world and wanting to have a really great global experience like you're having?
I would say just whatever it is that you want to do, that you even slightly think about it, just go for it. I think that has really been my mindset, especially when it comes to traveling. I really didn't put any sort of assumptions or expectations around where I was going. I just really gave it a chance. It really stemmed from like my passions as well. Like, I really want to just study something and just like get to know the people here. And so I think having that open mindset, going into something without any judgment, and being just bold about it, like not having those expectations kind of like lower your own expectations in a way. And so it can be very scary, but I think just going with that open mindset, that really gets you through things, and you can definitely see the world in a different light. And I think I kind of found my community in Taiwan without really knowing it in that sense. And so just go for it. I think it will happen eventually. Just trust in that process as well.
Okay, that's great advice. Before we sign off, we have a couple more minutes. I want to, noting that all of our lives have changed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. You've had a chance to experience that change, from during the time that you've been in Taiwan. How has your life changed in terms of getting groceries and your ability to get out and explore?
I would say the situation in Taiwan is quite different from what the rest of the world is experiencing right now. What that means is that basically where our everyday lives are still not quite as interrupted, we still get to go out and eat at restaurants. The only thing is that we have to wear face masks. And so the government has a really great system where people can buy face masks every 2 weeks. And so that's the only regulation, especially when we're taking trains. We see a lot more like temperature monitorings, like monitors everywhere in train stations. And so that's one of the new things. But aside from that, I think everyday life is still just going on in Taiwan, which is one of the reasons why, I decided to stay too. So far, it's been pretty good. We just have to like keep monitoring the situation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. What is going to be your next adventure? Where you have in mind for an adventure in the coming weeks or months?
In the next week, if the typhoon doesn't hit, my friends and I are actually going to explore another island off the coast of Taiwan. It's called Orchid Island, and we're planning to stay on the island for a couple days. We heard that snorkeling is really fun there. I might try diving for the first time, and so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, definitely going in for more of the beaches and just relaxing a little bit. And so I'm excited for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic. That sounds lovely. We had a sort of a late arrival question from an online viewer, and it popped up on my screen. It went away, but I believe that the question was, what is your favorite city so far in Taiwan?
Oh, definitely the southern cities. I would say Kaohsiung is definitely high on my list. A 30-minute train ride or scooter ride from Kaohsiung is another city called Tainan. That's where I study Chinese. It used to be like the old capital of Taiwan. It's a lot of cultural things there, and so Tainan is my favorite city in Taiwan. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're right at our time limit today. Thank you to our viewer for that great question. Thank you all for tuning in today on the live stream and hearing more about Tammy and her experiences in Taiwan. I want to reiterate the fact that Tammy's got a great ongoing virtual exchange going on the Reach the World website. The link is right in the chat bar. You can check out her articles and her photos from that exchange, which will continue for a couple more weeks. So we hope that you'll join that journey with us. And Tammy, thank you so much. I know it's late in Taiwan, so we'll let you go in just a minute. We'll check in with you in a few weeks and see how you're doing. For all of our viewers, you can find a complete list of upcoming Reach the World live stream events at athome.reachtheworld.org. I hope you'll join us again, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.